I just want to talk about conflict resolution today. Just some questions that you can ask yourself when you're dealing with conflict. Conflict is a normal part of life. It's just no way we can escape conflict. We're going to have differences of opinion. We're going to have unique ideas that's going to be opposing to somebody else's beliefs. And so we just got to be mindful that conflict is going to happen. It is a normal part of life, that no one is exempt, and that it's okay to disagree. It's okay. It's perfectly okay to have a difference of opinion. You don't have to, you can agree to disagree. You don't have to go with someone else's opinion because it's different and you don't want to have to deal with, a confrontation. You don't want to have to deal with, the wrath of confrontation sometimes. You don't want to deal with the anger. You don't want to deal with the mood swings. You don't want to deal with the problems that come with conflict resolution. But the purpose so this is what I believe. Toddlers want what they want. They don't care if anybody else is happy. They just want what they want. They scream and holler, throw temper tantrums. But as adults, we have to be mature. We have to say, okay, what is the problem? We got to try to figure out what's the real problem. We got to be looking at solutions. We can't just blame the other person. It's the other person's fault. They're unreasonable. They're angry. They're this, they're that. That's immature. We can't resolve anything calling people names, blaming other people. We got to be reasonable adults, mature adults, and we got to figure out what happened and how we can resolve the conflict. So the first question you might ask yourself is, can you say what the other person said to you about the conflict? So a lot of times we're so busy trying to convince the other person to believe our point of view, or we're so busy trying to get the other person to come to our side and agree with us. We're so busy trying to get what we have to say out. We're so busy we can't wait till they get through talking before we say what we have to say, but we've missed what they said. We've missed what they said. We have to be mindful when we go into relationships, when we go into conversations, that everybody is not like us, and that is perfectly fine. We're all unique, okay? And so you got to be thinking about, did I hear what the other person said? If I had to paraphrase what they said, can I do that? Have I asked them questions have I gotten curious about what they believe and why they believe it? So before we go and try to, convince somebody to our side, our point of view, we got to make sure we heard what they said. We got to make sure we understand, where they're coming from. We got to make sure we ask questions. You got to ask yourself, am I listening? So you have to listen when you're in a conversation with somebody. A lot of times we have conflict because we misunderstand, because we weren't listening. Our mind was 1,000 miles away. We only caught snippets of what the other person was saying. And then we disagree. We're upset. We're angry when we just totally misunderstood. You have to want to resolve it. So you have to listen. You have to want to resolve the conflict. You can't just say, okay, it's my way or the highway. That's what immature little children do. So mature adults, they figure out, okay, how do we resolve this? What has to happen? And like I said, it's perfectly fine to agree to disagree, but you just got to make sure that you understand what the problem is. You understand that y'all have decided about some solutions. And I always think about the long-term benefits. Sometimes we just think about the short term, I want my way and that's it. And I walk away. I'm like bratty. I want my way and I walk away. And I don't think about the long-term consequences of messing this relationship up, of ending this relationship, of acting bratty in this relationship. I don't think about what the long-term consequences are. And it affects us because word travels that we are bratty, that we want our way, that everything has to be our way or no way. We get angry, we yell, we scream, and people realize that they don't want to deal with us because we don't handle conflict the correct way. So we have to listen, we have to want to resolve it. We have to realize that it's two people in this conversation, in this conflict, that's trying to resolve it, and two people that want to win. We have to realize it's two people in this conflict that want to be right. Who doesn't? Everybody wants to be right. Everybody wants to win the conflict, feel like they won the conflict. But you got to be thinking about the other person, that you wouldn't want to be the one that's on the losing side of this argument, on the losing side of this conflict. So you want to make sure that you are trying to come up with a solution so both people can be happy. The next question is, does what I'm saying make sense? So the first question is, can you say what the other person said? The next question is, does what I'm saying make sense? A lot of times we're so emotional, we've let our ego take over, that what we're saying doesn't even make any sense. What we want doesn't even make any sense. It's unrealistic, it's irresponsible. So we got to ask ourselves, does this make sense? What I'm saying, what I want, does this make sense, or is this unrealistic? Number 3 is we have to say, am I clearly wrong? A lot of times we want our way because it's us. We want our way. But sometimes it's evident that we're wrong. If we were to poll our friends, they would tell us, what you're saying is wrong. You are clearly wrong. So we got to step back and ask ourselves, am I wrong? Excuse me. The next one is, did I let my ego take over the situation? I mentioned this already. Sometimes we just want to win. We want to be right. We want to prove that we're right. We want to pull out all the, the Google websites, all the proof, all the different things to prove. We want to call in other people to prove that we're right. But maybe we won that argument, that battle, but we lost the war. We've lost this person. We've lost a great relationship because we had to prove that we were right. The next one is my favorite. Did I overreact? So sometimes we overreact. Maybe it was like something small and we exaggerated. We blew it out of proportion. So you got to ask yourself, if y'all had a disagreement or argument, did you overreact? Did your reaction warrant what exactly happened in the situation? So you got to ask yourself, do you overreact? The next one is, do I need to go to therapy regarding an issue that bled over into this particular conflict, this particular disagreement? So a lot of times we have old baggage that has not been resolved, or it might be new baggage, but happened the last 3 weeks or 3 months or whatever. And it has affected us in a major way. We don't realize it until we overreact in a disagreement. And it has nothing to do with the person that we are talking to. They just happen to be, standing in the line of fire, if you will. So you got to ask yourself, do I have unresolved issues that need to be dealt with? Do I need to go to therapy to deal with these issues? Does this really have anything to do with the person that's in front of me, the person that I say I have this conflict with? The next two are to kind of put them together is, do I play fair and do I play nice? Do I play fair? And do I play nice? So sometimes we can get into a disagreement, have this conflict, and we don't play fair. We say the wrong things. We don't play nice. We say things that we can't take back. We say things that really hit below the belt. We say unnecessary things. And, part of being adult is everything that comes to my mind, I don't have to say it. Everything that I think that the person deserves, that I should say that they deserve to hear, or that I feel about them, I don't need to say it. Because just like I want them to have to practice some grace when they're talking to me, I want to do the same thing for somebody else. I don't want to just blurt out the wrong thing. It's a sign that I'm immature. So again, grown-ups resolve conflict. Babies and toddlers are the ones who want what they want. They don't care what anybody else is going through. They don't care what anybody else is doing. They don't care if anybody's sleepy. They don't care that crises are happening other than the baby wants to bottle or a toddler wants to eat. Grown-ups resolve conflict. Toddlers are the ones who want their own way. You got to think about, finally, is what does each person want? If it's the same, the person closest to how it's going to be affected, or, the solution should be able to decide what the solution is, or the person that's close to the problem should be able to decide what the solution is. So what does each person want? If it's the same thing, if both people want the same thing, if both people want the same solution or resolution, then you got to be thinking about the person who is closest to the problem gets to decide what the solution is. So just some things to be thinking about. These things are very important if we are resolving conflict. And a lot of times we don't resolve conflict because we just want our own way. We just want to be right. But we don't think about, we don't step out of ourselves and think about common sense. We don't think about the other person. We don't think about how this little thing is like short term, but what's going to happen in the long term. And so we got to be thinking about, did I set proper boundaries? Am I doing the things that I need to be doing? So questions to be thinking about as far as resolving conflict.